Help me reach 1,000 subscribes. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. I read every comment. Thanks. Emma had always loved laughter. To her, life was too short to take seriously all the time, and she prided herself on being the kind of person who could turn any mundane day into a memorable story. Her husband, Daniel, on the other hand, was the opposite. Practical, steady, and careful, Daniel measured every step, every word, every moment. He adored Emma's spontaneity, but he also often warned her, with a gentle shake of his head, that some boundaries weren't meant to be tested. It was a chilly Saturday morning in early March, and the couple had just returned from their weekly coffee run. The sun cut through the clouds in thin beams, illuminating the small kitchen where they stood. Emma's eyes sparkled with mischief. She had been planning something for weeks, a prank she thought would be harmless, funny, and unforgettable. She had even whispered it to her best friend, Laura, who had encouraged her endlessly. "Go for it," Laura had said. "Just make sure he laughs at the end." Daniel leaned against the counter, sipping his black coffee. "You're quiet," he noted. "Plotting something?" Emma smiled innocently, leaning closer. "Nothing at all," she said, but the curve of her lips betrayed her. She had bought a fake lottery ticket online, one that looked completely real. According to the instructions, scratching the silver strip revealed a jackpot of $1 million. She planned to slip it into his wallet while he was distracted with a newspaper, then watch his reaction. It seemed perfect, the ultimate harmless prank. She imagined Daniel's eyes widening, the nervous laughter, the incredulous disbelief, and then the hug, the shared laughter, and the relief when she revealed the truth. She pictured the story they would tell friends. "Remember when I thought we were rich for 5 minutes?" By mid-afternoon, Emma had everything ready. Daniel was sitting in the living room, absorbed in a work report on his laptop. The air was warm with spring sunlight, and Emma's heartbeat raced with excitement. Quietly, she slid the fake lottery ticket into the corner of his wallet. Then she waited. Minutes passed. Daniel shut his laptop, stretched, and reached for his wallet to pay for lunch delivery. He flipped it open and froze. At first it was subtle, a double take, a confused blink, and then a low, slow intake of breath. "Emma," he whispered, voice tight. This can't be real, right?" Emma's stomach flipped. She nodded, barely able to contain herself. "It's just a prank. It's fake. I promise." But Daniel didn't laugh. Not a chuckle, not a nervous snort, not even a small smile. His expression hardened. The sudden weight in his eyes was heavy, unfamiliar. He closed the wallet slowly and stood up. "Emma," he said quietly, deliberately, "I need to be alone for a while." Emma blinked, her laughter frozen in her throat. "Alone?" she asked, unsure she had heard him correctly. Daniel nodded, pacing the living room. I can't just laugh this off. You made me believe we were rich, Emma. You made me feel something impossible in a second. You toyed with reality, and I can't just act like it's nothing." Emma's heart thudded in panic. This wasn't the reaction she had prepared for. "It's just a joke. I didn't mean..." But Daniel's hand rose, stopping her words. "I need space. Not tomorrow, not tonight. A while. I'll come back when I can." For a moment, Emma thought he was bluffing. Then hours passed. He didn't call. He didn't return home that night. By morning, a note appeared on the kitchen counter. Simple, precise, and cold in its honesty. "I'm leaving for a while. Figure out why a prank mattered more than respect." Emma read it over and over. The room felt smaller, with every word. Her fingers trembled. She replayed the prank in her mind. How innocent it seemed, how harmless, how she had expected laughter and joy, not silence and distance. Days became weeks. Daniel didn't respond to texts, emails, or calls. Friends tried to intervene, asking if she had crossed a line, if this was some kind of cruel joke that went too far. Emma didn't know. She only knew that the house, once filled with Daniel's quiet hum and laughter, felt hollow. She spent hours sitting in the living room, staring at the coffee table where the lottery ticket had been revealed, imagining what she could have done differently. Emma's mind was a storm of guilt, confusion, and fear. Was it really just a prank that went too far? Or was it fate exposing cracks in a relationship she had ignored for years? She remembered the small things, Daniel's growing seriousness, the way he had stopped sharing his little victories at work, how he often sighed when she tried to be playful. Was this prank merely the spark that ignited a hidden fire, or the fire itself had always been there, smoldering quietly? She tried to reason, replaying every argument, every misstep. But nothing seemed to explain the coldness in Daniel's eyes when he had looked at the ticket. Nothing seemed to account for the note, so carefully written, that left no room for debate, no invitation for immediate reconciliation. Emma had intended joy. She had instead created a fracture that would only grow if not understood. Now, sitting alone in the evening light, Emma whispered to herself, a trembling confession. Was it my mistake, or was it just fate? The first weeks without Daniel were unbearable. Emma moved through the house like a ghost, haunted by silence and the absence of his presence. Each corner reminded her of him. The coffee mugs he had left by the sink, the corner of the sofa he had always claimed, the softness of his favorite playlist still lingering in the living room. She tried to fill the emptiness with errands, work, and calls to friends, but nothing replaced the subtle warmth of his daily routine. She replayed that morning over and over in her mind. The fake lottery ticket had seemed harmless, even funny. She had imagined the shock, the laughter, the hug, the shared amusement. She had not imagined a year of absence, the cold note, or the complete dismantling of her sense of security. The longer Daniel stayed away, the more she questioned herself. Was it really the prank? Or had something deeper always existed? A fissure in their marriage she had ignored, masked by years of comfort, routine, and playful affection? Emma decided she had to act, not with desperation, but with clarity. She began writing letters, not to send, but to sort her own thoughts. She wrote to Daniel as if he were sitting across from her. I never meant to hurt you. I never imagined a joke could wound so deeply. I understand why you left, and I would do anything to earn back your trust, even if it takes years. Weeks turned into months. Emma learned patience she had never known, a quiet humility that contrasted sharply with the lively, impulsive woman Daniel had married. She started volunteering at the local community center, teaching children how to read, and spent long afternoons helping neighbors with small tasks. Each act was a reminder that life continued even when your heart was fractured. Then, 6 months in, the first sign of movement came. A text, simple and cautious. Emma, can we meet? Her pulse raced, her stomach turned, and yet a strange calm settled over her. She had imagined this moment countless times. But now that it was here, it felt heavier than any fantasy. They met at a small cafe, neutral ground, with sunlight streaming through the windows. Daniel arrived first, sitting stiffly at a corner table, his expression unreadable. Emma's heart pounded as she approached, but she forced herself to walk slowly, deliberately. She didn't want to scare him away with nervous energy. Hi, she said softly, sliding into the chair across from him. Hi, he replied, voice calm but reserved. There was no hug, no immediate warmth, just two people sitting across from each other, measuring the distance between what had been and what could be. Emma took a deep breath. I've thought about that morning a lot, she began. And about us. I realize now that what I thought was harmless hurt you deeply. I never wanted to destroy our trust, and I'd give anything to fix it. Daniel studied her, expression guarded. Emma, it wasn't just a prank, he said finally. It was everything that led up to it. The little dismissals, the playful arrogance, the times I tried to talk and felt unheard. That prank, it was the final proof that you weren't considering me, really considering me. I needed to step away to see if I mattered to myself first. Emma nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. I understand. I understand now how my actions and inactions push you away, and I want to do better if you'll let me. For a long moment, silence stretched between them, fragile as spun glass. Daniel's eyes softened just slightly, and he exhaled a slow, measured breath. A year is a long time, Emma, he said. I can't promise that things will be the same as before. I don't even know if I want them to be. But I can promise that if we try with honesty and understanding. Tears welled in Emma's eyes, but they were not tears of despair. They were relief, gratitude, and the tentative joy of a second chance. She reached across the table, her hand hovering for a moment before lightly touching his. Daniel didn't pull away. The connection was small, careful, but it was there. Over the next months, they rebuilt slowly. Dinner became a time to reconnect rather than just routine. Weekends were filled with long walks, conversations about hopes and disappointments, and careful laughter that no longer masked anything. Emma learned to balance spontaneity with consideration, while Daniel learned that allowing himself to trust again didn't make him weak. And though the memory of that morning never fully faded, the shock, the hurt, the sudden absence, it became a lesson rather than a scar. They realized that fate might have played its part, but the choices they made afterward determined the outcome. The prank had not destroyed them. It had merely forced honesty, attention, and self-awareness. A year later, sitting together on the porch one warm spring evening, Emma looked at Daniel and whispered, "I was foolish, wasn't I?" Daniel smiled, not with perfection of storybook ending, but with the quiet satisfaction of a man and woman who had survived their worst missteps. "Yes," he said, "but we're still here. That's what matters." And in that moment, with the fading sunlight painting their hands together in gold, Emma understood that love wasn't about perfect timing or flawless actions. Sometimes it was about surviving mistakes, facing consequences, and choosing to come back, stronger, wiser, and ready to laugh together again.